I loved it. This movie was a blast. Talk about like every box of mine that this movie checked. I fucking had a blast, and I'm really annoyed that I had never seen it before, but I'm glad that I got to experience it for the first time. Because one, Ryan Gosling is a national treasure. He should be way more liked than.
Anyway, we're back. Welcome back to the Movie Dads Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Howie.
I'm Kyle.
That is Kyle. Now we're back for episode number 52. Movie Dads Podcast. We're doing the 2016 American neo-noir buddy action comedy, The Nice Guys. And this week's, I can't believe you haven't seen it.
You just said as I was thinking in my head, like, I can't believe I've never seen this movie.
It's so good. Yeah. Anyway, so it's a fucking hilarious movie. You like Russell Crowe. You like Ryan Gosling.
They're both great.
I like Shane Black's a great writer. I think he's very entertaining. So yeah, no, it's a good movie. So we got to watch this the other night, and pretty excited to talk about it. So, but hopefully you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you click the like and subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Leave a comment. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Check us out. If you're not watching us on YouTube, hopefully you're listening to us on one of many podcast services such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and many others. You can also catch some of our short clips and videos on social media at Movie Dads Pod, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. But we're movie dads. We've got movie kids. Not a ton. Obviously, it's still summer break. Softball season we're winded down this weekend into season tournament. Reagan's team finished 4th in the tournament. Not bad. 4th out of 8th. They finished just over 500 on the season. It was a good season. They started off kind of tough, as I talked about on the podcast early on, but ended the season really well. Came down Saturday morning. They had to play the number 1 team, and just wasn't their best game. They played the bats were humming, but the defense was a little off. Girls were a little off, but good season. Reagan really finished the season strong. The semifinal or the quarterfinal game, I think she went 2 for 3, and then the final, I think she was 2 for 2. She got walked once, so pretty good though. Yeah, she had a couple doubles in there, so she sent some screamers over out into right field. So it was fun. It was entertaining. As I think I talked about briefly last week, Dez has been really getting into Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Switch. He started playing that when we went on our cruise, but really getting into it. Shit, he's almost done. He's almost at the end of the game now already.
He was over here hanging out with Grayson the other day, and like I was just like, "How's Zelda going? What temple are you on?" And he started like firing off fucking names of temples and characters and powers and things that he's acquired. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah,
you need to get off the N64, dude. You need to learn the ways of the original.
Oh, he can play it on. He played on the Switch because we've got the N64 thing expansion. We got that, so he could, if he wants to get into it, try the old Ocarina of Time. I would be down for.
You think you like Breath of the Wild? This fucking original will change your life. Though these kids these days, they don't appreciate the old things.
Kyle, I like both of them very much. So
what the hell did I put on the other day that I put on? Like, it wasn't Batman, it was some cartoon show, and I put on fucking Roger Rabbit.
Hell yeah.
Because hell yeah. And my kids were like so uninterested, and the line they used was, "Dad, this looks so old." Like they didn't want to watch it because it looked old. Just like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, no kidding.
But same in our house. Not a really lot. I mean, it was Father's Day this weekend, so we there was like an hour of rain on Saturday morning, and for whatever reason that canceled all of our baseball games on Saturday. So like I was so upset to be able to get the whole day of not doing anything. And then Sunday for Father's Day, we just had like it was hot as shit. We got like a
Yep.
full day out in the pool, which we get maybe an hour or two after work and after school throughout the week. And then we're always running around. So we don't get like a full day. We finally got a day. And I got so sunburned that I thought I was going to die because I put no sunscreen on because I'm a
Ooh,
Californian and
damn.
I do the suntan oil. Usually I use the one that has some SPF in it just so I'm not like completely turning into a potato chip out there. But my wife got like this bronzer for me. She's like, "Here, I know you like this crap." And I put it on and was like, "Oh my god, this is great. Like I am seeing color immediately." And then when I closed up shop for the day, your son actually was one of the last people there. I walked out, I put something inside and walked outside and he said, "Ooh, you're really red." I was like, "What?" And then when I went out front to put the big water slide away, a neighbor across the street was like, "Wow, why are you so red?" So I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm not that sunburned. I'm fine." And then I went inside and I was pretty sunburned. But in true California skin fashion, for me, it's sunburn turns into a tan next day. So no longer sunburn, just got a little extra shades darker. So, but yeah, Father's Day was great.
You just spent like 2
Good
minutes
times.
talking about your fucking tan.
Sometimes on this show, you get the Californian out of
Okay.
me. So, I mean, I wasn't planning for that. It just happened. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what happens when you don't really have anything going on, like nothing too crazy. Um, which I guess will take us into my most excited segment of the episode, our 6 to midnight. This is the part of the show where we talk about the things that get us up, excited for the week. New nerd news, new trailers, new comics, new toys, new video games, whatever's out and whatever's got us up this week, whatever gets us out of bed. And there's not a lot as much as last week or last couple weeks in terms of like trailers and stuff, but there's some new cool things that came out, new updates. Um, Todd McFarlane, obviously big in the comic book world, but big in the toy world, did a little pre-order drop out of nowhere. They flashed like a super dark picture of what looked like a Batmobile late on like Friday night and was like, "Tomorrow morning pre-order." And sure
And
enough,
they were all Target exclusives too.
yeah, which is not, they don't usually do Target only.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you in like the collector world or have ever done any type of pre-order through Target, they're really hit and miss. Like sometimes you'll get a pre-order there and then like whatever you've ordered will hit the shelves in the store and you still won't get your item. And then it'll get canceled for your pre-order. It's so super weird. So I'm a little nervous about it.
Right.
But they dropped a Batman the Animated Series Batmobile, like full size, the same size as my Batman 89. I'm like, all right, I'm in the Batmobile game now. So got that pre-ordered. Super excited about it. That
It's
was
got working
one little.
lights too, right? Like that's pretty
Oh,
slick.
dude, yes, which
Yeah.
the 89 doesn't have, but like,
Not yet.
yeah, goddamn right.
They're gonna ship another one.
Yeah, so which I think I've mentioned on one of the episodes, like they have slowly been dropping like each movie line of
Yeah.
Batman figures. Like we got Batman and Robin, and then we just recently got Batman Forever, which
Right.
was awesome, which I think we talked about on an episode.
We did. Yeah.
But the other side of that is they've talked about Batmobiles. Like McFarlane pretty much said, like they're coming, guys. Just wait. So I'm just gonna freaking turn my wall here into a Batcave garage.
They
with
did
all
just
these
have the
Batmobiles.
Tumblr one a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
You
Actually,
could
great
get
point.
the dark tumbler came with like a Lucius Fox figure, and then they
Yes.
had like the Bane's camo tumbler came by
Yep.
itself, but it's pretty cool too. But yeah,
Yeah.
those just came out too. Yeah.
I didn't, you know, it's weird because I have every figure from the Dark Knight line, even the Build-A-Figure Bane. Basically, they're all of these series are Build-A-Figures. You buy 4 or 5, and then you get a whole figure based off of the little pieces and all the packages. But I didn't do the Tumbler Batmobile because, like, I don't know what it is about that Batmobile. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But I don't, I'm just like, it's such a weird Batmobile. Like, it's
Yes.
just not really cool to me.
Right.
So,
Well, I get what you're saying.
so I skipped that one, but I did go Batman animated series. I will go Batman Forever because that blue pointy
Oh, you like that
thing,
one?
like, I don't know why, but I think it's fucking super cool. Chicks dig cars, as one Robin Chris O'Donnell would say. So
I've always been an 89. 89's my favorite Batmobile. I always like.
oh, by a mile,
Awesome.
by a mile, which is why it's proudly displayed on my
Right.
wall here. It's my like prized possession in here. So, anyways, I've talked way too much about Batman toys. I always talk about that.
I'm gonna actually. I wanted to just kind of bounce off that because Marvel Legends, Hasbro does the line, the Marvel figures, which they've gotten better lately because there were some shit ones for a while. The X-Men 97 figures are actually pretty good. And then they're releasing like an 85th anniversary Marvel line. Several different figures that are coming out this summer. I've already pre-ordered like there's a Cable coming out in kind of an X-Men uniform. Cool. There's a 85th anniversary Deadpool that's coming out in July, right around the time of the movie. And then I got the like Colossus Juggernaut 2-pack that's part of that line too. There is a Wolverine one that's pretty slick. It kind of has the old smaller ears cowl on him.
I've been staring at it. I know the amount of times
you won't find it now. You won't find it now. Everybody's out. A Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, they're all out of it.
I swear to God, I just was looking at it the other night. But it's interesting you say that because I have been really down the toy rabbit hole this particular week. Like, there's a YouTube channel called Nerd Zoic that literally they just talk about like. It's a guy. He just talks about, he does like top 10 lists of like top 10 Marvel Legends figures, top 10 most expensive Marvel Legends figures. So like, I've just been watching these random top 10 lists and like finding out what hella random Marvel Legends figures are going for like $300. Like,
right.
Freaking like Mohawk Storm was a peg warmer for $10 for like 2 years. And now it's like $250 online. So, and he talks about other toy lines. That's just some of them that I was watching. I almost sent you a couple, but he is the reason why I sent you that Ghost Rider like motorcycle Marvel Legends 2-pack thing, because stuff he's posting, I'm like, oh, I might want to get that. So, anyways, cool. We're toy nerds.
We are. And I got an email from Entertainment Earth tonight. One of my packages is coming this weekend, and none of them were supposed to be here till like late July. So I'm like,
if it's the Bane 2-pack, I'm gonna be so annoyed.
No, because I didn't get that one from Entertainment Earth. I got that one from GameStop.
So did I.
So the Entertainment Earth package I'm getting this weekend is I ordered Cable, Deadpool, Juggernaut, and Colossus all together. Oh, is it one of them? Is it all 4 of them? Because none of them were supposed to be here till July. So
love that.
Excited.
That's great. I ordered. I think I've done most of my pre-orders through McFarlane, like their website. So if like I don't get, if I don't get it directly from the source before like retail shops get it, I'm gonna be fucking angry.
I get that. The only issue I had with that was like I ordered that Batman Bane 2-pack through McFarlane directly, and with shipping and taxes and stuff, it was like $80 some.
Oh, and GameStop,
but on GameStop it was like $67 because
it's you're a Power person or
whatever Pro.
There's like a Power Pro or something. I did one last toy combo. I had sent you a Snapchat of a new Superman that I had ordered.
Oh yeah,
which, like I said, I've been on like a total kick on it. I've been ordering these things without even like thinking about it and remembering. So like they'll show up in my house and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I'll Snapchat of like, what did I order this week? I'm like, oh, there's that smiling face Superman figure that I've wanted. But I sent it to my brother, of which my nephew, Patch,
Mhm.
saw the Snapchat and was like, that was really cool, Superman. So we were when we were having our Father's Day combo, he asked about it. And I was like, oh, you saw that? Here, let me go show you. I showed it to him. And he was like, Superman, like, I want a Superman. And I was like, fuck yeah, you do. I'll get you one. And then my brother texted me immediately after. He's like, Patch does not forget when promised a toy. So please don't forget.
So did he?
So I ordered it.
Did it
I
already
ordered it
arrive?
immediately. It should be there today. Hopefully it'll be
Awesome.
there by the time the episode goes up. But they don't do action figures there. Like that's just, they haven't reached that age yet.
Yeah.
And so I think his first action figure ever is going to be a Superman toy. So I'm excited for him. So. Anyways, let's go to you. I've been talking toys. Give me something movie.
So let's talk into something more adult related, like video games. So the Nintendo Direct was today. They usually have a big Direct in the summer in June. And obviously there's a lot of rumors about the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be coming out. Before, when they announced what time the Direct was going to start, like in the captions, it said, no, there's not going to be an announcement about a Nintendo Switch 2. There wasn't, which is fine. I think that will probably come holiday season. I think because they're probably
I can't buy another one. I just feel like even though I've had them forever.
Well, they do have a slate of games though too that are going through next year. So maybe it won't be till next year, but we'll find out. But just a couple things. There was some cool highlights, some nostalgic stuff there. Of course, they're adding more stuff to the Switch catalog. Some 64 classic games are going to be available to play starting today. Perfect Dark's on there now as of today. Turok the Dinosaur Hunter's on there as of today.
Are they remastered or do they look exactly like
64 games?
Nice.
So they're classics. But a couple of the highlights of the new games, there was a Marvel versus Capcom collection game, which is coming out. That is like, it's like the X-Men Street Fighter fighting games. It's the Marvel superheroes fighting game, Marvel versus Capcom, Marvel versus Capcom 2. It's even going to have like the Punisher beat 'em up. It kind of gives you the feel like that Konami collection that Ninja Turtles put out. Kind of like that. Like it's going to have like a big assortment of games. I'm assuming it's probably going to be that lower price point, like $30 for it, but that's coming out soon. And then the new games, they announced Metroid Prime 4, which was first announced like 7 years ago. And we got a trailer for it today. If anybody played Metroid Prime for like GameCube, like that's a classic first-person shooter. They took old school Metroid and they made it a first-person shooter, and it was awesome.
Pretty cool. And people have been clamoring for like a sequel to that. Well,
there were other sequels, but like it's been forever since. Like those were like, we're talking early to mid 2000s, and now it's 2024. We're finally getting a fourth one. But it does look good. And then the other big release was a new Legend of Zelda game. It's in the top-down, like old school 3D style. That Link's Awakening was done. The Link's Awakening remake for Switch was, but it's called Echoes of Wisdom, and it's the first time that a main game you're going to play as Zelda instead of Link. So kind of interesting concept there. Of course, there are people that are like, lame, I don't want to play as freaking Zelda, or she's got it's not a sword fighting game, she's got like a wand. And
just got the second game, the sequel to one of the greatest Zeldas of all time. There's 400 hours of Link available in those Breath of the Wild games. Like,
easily 400. Yeah, easily.
Like the game looks cool. I saw the trailer. I didn't know that was going on today, but I, for whatever reason, ran into that trailer and texted over. But you clearly had already seen it. It looks cool. It looks very like Pokemon, like cartoony, kind of kiddie.
Yeah, somebody said it looks like you're playing playing Zelda with Funkos.
Yeah, dude, that's actually a great explanation of it. I think it's turn-based, or some of the stuff I saw looked like there was some turn-based action in it. So, like, of how they fight, like you come upon like 3 monsters, and you each like take turns, and you pick whatever your attack is going to be. I saw there was some clips in it of that.
Yeah,
but,
it looks interesting. Like you can even like make your own monsters, and they fight for you. I'm like, is Zelda a necromancer or because that's what it looks like. Anyway,
very, very Pokemon.
yeah. So anyway, that's coming out in September, and of course they announced they had to release a new Zelda Switch Lite, Legend of Zelda Switch Lite console that's going to be coming out too at the same time. But yeah,
Nice.
anyway, that was
cool.
that video game part. I got a couple other things, but I'll let you go ahead next.
Oh, I was just gonna say we talked about the Metal Gear. It's Metal Gear 3 remastered, but it's called Metal Gear Delta. I don't think I mentioned that last week.
Oh, okay.
But there's a full 9-minute video of David Hayter, who is the voice of Solid Snake in the game. So when you hear him talk, you're like, holy shit, that's Snake. Where he's basically telling you about the game, the ins and outs of it. It was I was like, holy shit, do I get to learn about the Metal Gear game from freaking Snake? I'm in. So I thought that was really cool. That's up on YouTube if you're a Metal Gear nerd. So I said two other kind of small things. One, there was a new animated movie 2-parter that dropped that has got kind of mixed signals online. But for me, when I saw it, I was like, oh, hell yeah. They're doing an animated 2-part movie of The Watchmen. Trailer is up, just surprise trailer dropped. Apparently this was announced in 2017, so hell long ago, and they got no info, and then trailer the other day. It's very, very faithful to the comic from what we can see. And then the other news or kind of info related to is that Adam Driver is the star of it. So I don't know if he's going to be like Dr. Manhattan, if he's going to be Rorschach, or
I mean, if you had to pick a main character in that, I would think Rorschach is because he kind of narrates it. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird.
I didn't even realize your shirt you're wearing right now.
Oh yeah, it's my Darth Maul.
It's my Darth Maul shirt.
Rorschach, didn't even plan that.
But I don't know, the people online are like, do we need a reboot for Watchmen?
That's what I said.
But I don't know, the movie, I think the Zack Snyder movie is old enough now that I know it's an R-rated movie that they're coming out with, so it's not really specific to kids, but I think there's a bunch of young adults now that will be interested in that story that probably never saw that and will never see that original movie. Make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm all for it. I will watch it. And then there's very little information about it. I tried to find some information. Nobody's sure. Is it going to be theatrical? Is it going to be
stream,
like Crisis on Infinite Earths, where you could buy it day one, $20 or whatever, and stream it? Is it going to be a max release? Because it's Warner Brothers and DC. I don't know. Very little information. I'm in the boat that I'll watch it, but yeah, do I need it? Because we've talked about that before. I feel like the theatrical Snyder version's pretty faithful. I mean, especially if you get the director's cut. The only thing they changed was the Dr. Manhattan part of the ending, but it's the rest of it's pretty damn almost taking panels out of the book. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I'll watch. Like I said, I'll watch it. It looks cool. I like that animation style. So, yeah, it's interesting. Other thing I had too, and I know you got one more. So, just came out today. A little bit of information. Mel Brooks is going to produce. Mel Brooks is 96 years old. He's going to produce a sequel to Spaceballs. Obviously, he's not going to write or direct it, but he's going to produce it, and then it's going to be Amazon MGM, so I don't know if it's going to be straight to streaming because they have released stuff theatrically too through their MGM that Amazon bought. And then Josh Gad's going to star in it, but obviously, nobody knows. Is it going to be? Is it going to be prequel Star Wars? Is it going to be sequel trilogy Star? I don't know. Who knows what maybe they'll do both. because.
Do you think, will Josh Gad just automatically be the Chewbacca guy?
He's a Mog. He's half man, half dog. I'm a Mog. I don't know. I don't know because does he fit? I don't know. Like in my head, I thought he'd be
Seems
like the
like the
new.
one that would
I
be.
thought he'd be the new Darth Helmet. I don't know, man. Like, is there gonna be a Darth Helmet? Like, I don't know.
There
It's
has to
hard to
be.
say. Hard to say with that, but I thought that was interesting. Like, you don't see, Mel Brooks sequels, right? Like, they've never touched Spaceballs or Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein or Men in Tights. They never touch any of them,
Yeah.
right? Like, they're one and done's. Like, he doesn't really do. I
I
don't
think
know.
Spaceballs seems to me like, I mean, obviously I really enjoyed the movie. It
Yeah,
seems
that's
to me like
great.
it's like a franchise that when you say there's going to be a sequel, there's nothing in me that's like, oh, they better do it like this. It's like, oh,
Right,
hell yeah.
right,
Like,
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
yeah.
Let's
Give
fucking
us
make
a
it.
second.
Yeah,
Like, probably because it feels like a spin-off of Star Wars, but it's like funny and interesting. So I'm like, fuck
it's
yeah.
been 40 years, so
Spaceballs, yeah, we deserve that.
yeah, all for it.
Love that. So they could do the same thing with Galaxy Quest, and I'd be a happy man. So,
Maybe.
um, so
Did you have anything
last
else?
thing. I
Like,
mean, nothing other than like I am excited that OCon is coming up. So
yeah,
the
2 weeks.
Comic-Con here in our own backyard is just a couple of weeks away. So, um, if you are a fan of the pod and you're local or within driving distance, come out and see us. So that will be in 2 weekends, and we're going to be crushing it out there. So my wife is working on our t-shirts on it. So
Nice.
I just thought about tonight and was like, oh yeah, I want to mention, like, drop that. Like, guys, we have a Comic-Con coming up in our backyard. Everybody be ready. So, but
I like it.
I'm going to hand it to you.
All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk about in 6 to Midnight, we talk about things that get us up and don't get us down, but we've got to talk about it because we brought this up last week, and I feel like there's some things that need to be said.
Oh God.
So we're going to talk about the Acolyte because we both were on this podcast last week after watching the first 2 episodes and talked about how we were pleasantly surprised and we didn't understand the hate. And we felt like, yeah, maybe it wasn't the greatest, but at the same time, it was entertaining and it had promising direction. Then episode 3 came out, which was basically the backstory about the twin girls and where they came from and how. So basically, they are twins on a planet that was supposedly uninhabited, and they live among a coven of witches. Force witches that are all lesbians, apparently.
I don't know.
It's
I don't know if
implied.
it's implied that they're
Implied.
all
I don't know.
there's for sure a couple, the
Yeah.
two, the
And
moms.
they basically state that the twins were born through the Force. And I think that is the problem I have, because I think the first thing I text you was they just watered down the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker's entire origin story. Right?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people online are kind of like, wait a minute. It's Force conceived? Isn't that like the Chosen One, Darth Vader? I don't know. One of our listeners, who's a good friend of mine, when I was kind of going like, what is going on with this episode? He had kind of pointed out like, oh my God, like everyone's so freaking basically like, get over it. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a change. And I thought about it, like, yeah, that's right. It's really not that different. It's a different, if you look at it from the viewpoint of this is like just a very small area of the Star Wars universe that maybe we've just never learned about, then yes. But I think a lot of people just get upset, or like it's kind of like, oh, that's not interesting. When they like, I don't know, there's one side doing new things and having like new cool ideas is great. And then there's other times where it's like it feels like we're just making up stuff to be different instead of like, hey, let's respect or like be interested in the lore and freaking thousands of years of information and world lore that is out there, instead of like diving deeper into that and building the mythos of this stuff like the Force and Jedi and stuff like that, or the Sith, which I thought this show was supposed to be about.
Right.
But I did see some. I haven't watched episode 4 yet, but things I saw that posted today sounds like there might be a big bad, like that we might be getting that cool Sith. We just haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
But episode 3 it's like, okay, like cool witch coven, like these two twins, cool. Like when are we gonna, like, I in my head when they announced this show, I was thinking like we were gonna get like Darth Plagueis type, like, you know, like Darth Bane, like some super cool, because there are some really cool Sith in the mythos of Star Wars that have been hinted at or talked about or in other forms of media of Star Wars. And I just think people wanted that, and this is not that, and so it really rubs people the wrong way, I would say.
My biggest beef was the I felt like it did water down his origin. I do. You've talked about how nobody's ever had Force created babies before like that, and now it's these witches can do it apparently. So
yeah, I just want some fucking red lightsabers.
Yeah,
I need to stop cussing because it crushes our algorithm. But I just want red lightsabers. I want, if you're anyone that's played the Knights of the Old Republic video game, they just do an amazing job of kind of giving you the like this backstory of the Sith, and like the way there's some really cool big bad Sith that have like legendary stories. And in Knights of the Old Republic, you go to like Korriban, I believe it's Korriban, where like they have these temples, these huge like tombs for these like larger than life Sith, and I think people just wanted that, and we're not getting that. So I'm not gonna completely burn the show down, but the first 2 episodes were interesting and fun.
Yes.
And I forget the name of the main actor guy Jedi, but he is interesting.
Yes, very much so. I forgot his name too, the dude from Squid Game, but
yes, so he's cool. I feel like I was kind of catfished that Trinity from the Matrix was in 2 seconds of the first episode, spoiler, and she got killed. And all we've got is a little bit of
2 seconds in episode 3 is in a flashback.
Yeah, we get like flashbacks of it, but like everything of like the trailers and the build up made it seem like she was going to be a main character. So when like they killed her off,
actually funny, I was in one of our local comic shops last week. I was in Krypton, and the guys behind the counter, right when I walked in, were talking about it because the one guy had watched the first 2 episodes and the other guy hadn't. He's like, well, how is it? And the guy's like, it's okay so far. You know, I kind of like it. And then he goes, you know, I was pretty excited to see Carrie-Anne Moss was in it. I wondered, like, he's like, how was she in it? And the dude's like, you know, good. She's good. And I'm like in the friggin' aisle, like kind of laughing. And he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, because you know, she was super popular in The Matrix, and she did a few things after that. And I just, you know, I kind of thought she was an odd choice as a Jedi, but I'd like to see it. And he's like, well, you know, it's not a lot to it yet. You know, he's like trying not to say she did. But
yeah, she dies in literally the first scene of the show. So,
anyway, but that was funny. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna watch episode 4.
I'm gonna watch it too. I'm gonna keep watching it. Yeah. Just like, I don't understand some of the choices made. We've talked about it before.
It said it's Disney's largest TV show premiere, so like series premiere. So it's the most watched new show for Disney this year. They did say that the numbers were down from Ahsoka, but at this point, like way more people watched Ahsoka. But
you have a universe with like existing characters.
Yeah,
in Ahsoka, so it's a little different, but yeah.
Listen. If episode 4, when I turn it on after we get off this pod, if there's a guy with a helmet or a mask and a fucking red lightsaber, I'm gonna be more invested. That's all I'll say.
All right. Fair enough. Anyway, that takes us into our I can't believe you haven't seen it, Kyle, movie of the week, the 2016 American neo-noir buddy action comedy, The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys is distributed by Warner Brothers, directed by Shane Black. He loves Christmas. Written by Shane Black and Anthony Bagarazzi. The cast is Russell Crowe stars as Jackson Healy. Ryan Gosling as Holland March. Anjali Rice as Holly March. Matt Bomer as John Boy. Margaret Qualley as Amelia. Keith David as Eddie Harris, the old guy. Bo Knapp as Blueface. They're kind of like the thugs in the movie. And Kim Basinger as Judith Cutner.
I'm glad I did not look at the actor list before the movie, because when Matt Bomer showed up, I was like, oh shit, it's Matt Bomer.
I do like Matt Bomer.
I fucking love Matt Bomer. He gives me a bomer.
And he'd probably like to. And then he's obviously the DCAU's, he's the Flash too. Isn't he the Flash? I think he's the animated Flash.
Oh, the animated. Yes. Yep. Great DCAU job, nerd.
Flash. No, thank you.
Nice.
It was made with a budget of $50 million. It grossed $62 million at the box office. So it wasn't a bomb, but it really didn't recoup all of its costs. But it has become quite the cult classic since its release in 2016, so mainly because of the performances by Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, which are both amazing in the movie. So
I loved it. This movie was a blast. Talk about like every box of mine that this movie checked. I fucking had a blast, and I'm really annoyed that I had never seen it before, but I'm glad that I got to experience it for the first time. Because one, Ryan Gosling is a national treasure. He should be way more liked than he is, though I think generally most everybody likes him.
I agree.
And then Russell Crowe, I think, for the longest time, it was really hard for me to see Russell Crowe as anything other than the Gladiator. So any movie that he's in where he's not like this in shape general action star, I'm like, what the fuck, Russell Crowe? Like, what are you doing?
He's
like,
getting old. Yeah, he's got different things going on.
But this movie, though I did love him in Les Mis. I know everyone hates him in that movie and thinks he was the worst, but like, fuck, I thought he was awesome. And that was the first movie I was like, what the? That's Russell Crowe? That's Echoes in Life. What do you do in life? Echoes in Eternity? That's him? But man, holy hell, this movie made me embrace old, fat Russell Crowe version. Because he's in a lot of movies now as that guy. And man, he is so lovable. He could do no wrong in my eyes. Any movie Russell Crowe is in from now on, which this did spur me to go watch another newer movie called Land of the Bad that he was in, which I think was direct to video. But anyways, I'm all about the fucking Russell Crowe, Ryan Gosling. Give us the premise of the movie. Apologies.
All right, so the premise of the movie basically is it starts off with the death of a porn star, right? And you don't know, she dies, car runs off the road into a house. Really interesting opening scene.
Misty Mountains,
boobs are out. The kid takes his shirt off, covers her up. Yeah,
immediately when I saw the name, the Hobbit song started playing in my head.
But she dies under mysterious circumstances. Russell Crowe's like a tough guy. He does like jobs for hire. Like if somebody's following you, he'll go beat the shit out of them, say leave him alone, that kind of thing. Ryan Gosling's a PI, and he's searching for a girl named Amelia, right? And the reason he's looking for this girl is because Misty Mountain's like aunt or grandma or something has hired him to find Misty Mountains, even though she's dead. And he does, obviously some detectiving, as his private detective job does. And he finds out that the person that actually she thought she saw was probably this girl, Amelia, based on like the records of who was in the gated neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. Russell Crowe is paid by Amelia to get Ryan Gosling to quit following her. She doesn't know who this guy is that's following her, and there's some shady shit going on. basically he beats the shit out of Ryan Gosling. It's a hilarious scene, and he tells like Ryan Gosling won't stop like trying to fight back, and he's like, "I warned you, you needed to be done." And then he's like, "When you go into the emergency room, you need to tell him that you have an orbital fracture of the whatever bone in your arm." And he's like, "No, don't do it." And he breaks his arm, and Ryan Gosling just like, it's hilarious.
It's crazy.
It's hilarious.
That scene is when he's like, "Are you done?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm done. And then like tries to go and pick up the gun. It's what a fucking great scene.
Yeah,
they are really fun acting together.
And the plot takes place kind of in the porn industry, but it has to do. It's actually got a very intricate plot line for being about porn in the 70s in Hollywood. Basically, they end up teaming up because they find out that this Amelia girl's involved in something because there's other dead bodies along the trail, and they got to figure out where it all goes. I'm not going to go into all the details of it, but basically, like, it is a buddy cop kind of movie. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Russell Crowe's obviously like, he's kind of this like recovering alcoholic loner, just does his job and beats the shit out of people kind of straight guy, you know. And Ryan Gosling's this private investigator that he's just a drunk kind of fuck up with his teenage daughter, right? His wife's dead, house burned down or something, because like there was a gas leak and he couldn't smell it because he doesn't have a sense of smell. There's a little bit of backstory about that, but anyway, he blames himself and he's buried himself in the bottle kind of deal. But
there's a moment where he's talking. I just laughed hysterically when we were talking about his wife getting blown up, but that's not what I was laughing at. When there's a moment in the movie where he's like, "I don't have a sense of smell." He's telling Russell Crowe, and he's like, "You don't have a sense of smell? You're a private detective and you don't have a sense of smell?" He's like, "No.
What am I supposed to smell?"
It's like, how are you supposed to follow clues? You can't smell anything.
You can't smell anything. But yeah, basically there's people come looking for Russell Crowe. They kind of get him involved more than he had planned on, and that's where kind of this snowballs. Well, it turns out that this girl Amelia's mother works for the Justice Department, and there's this big case about Detroit automakers like bypassing safety features in their automobiles, and the Justice Department's giving them a free pass. Well, Amelia is like in this environmental activist group, and so they need to prove that these automakers are doing all these shady things. And the reason that that's happening, they can't get through the Justice Department because their mom's trying to stop it, and to, you know, basically get paid off by the Detroit big three, you know, GM, Ford, and Chrysler. So their way to get the information to the public is to make a pornographic film with like acting out everything that happened with the bribery and the big three and all this, right? But the big three obviously aren't going to let this happen. So they have these henchmen, the old guy and Blueface, who he's got Blueface because basically he gets an ink dye explodes in his face. There's so many different scenes. There's this huge party at this like porn director, porn producer's house that like, that scene's hilarious because like Ryan Gosling finds out there's free drinks and he's just going ham on it. And then they find clues. They find like an address for a hotel. They find this pinstripe suit that Misty Mountains wore in the movie. Yada, yada, yada. All this stuff happens, right?
Russell's like doing detective work at this party, like deducing clues, running people down, asking questions. And Ryan's just like, they split up and he clearly does not go to do detective work. He just goes to drink. But there's a moment where there's a big giant, like, it's not an aquarium, but there's a pool that has like a glass wall where like the bar area is. And so they have like people like mermaids swimming, and at one point you clearly know what's going to happen, but at one point Ryan Gosling just slowly is swimming across
after this
like,
mermaid
totally
is chasing
drunk,
her,
trying to chase this mermaid down to interview her, to ask her questions. So
Right.
like there's some funny moments.
And of course, his daughter like snuck in the trunk to go to the party too because she wants to help. She doesn't want to get left alone. And actually, Anjali Rice, who plays his daughter, she was awesome in this movie for like a teenage kid. Like she's hilarious. She's in a bunch of other stuff. She's in the new Mean Girls movie that just came out. She's in the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, but she was really good in it. And then, fun fact for the movie. I don't know if you noticed this or not, okay? Because I noticed this and I had to look it up because I wasn't sure if I was right. Because I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, but I noticed it this time. When they're at the party, there's a scene where Ryan Gosling falls down a hill, right? And he, like, drunk, and he runs into Amelia, right? The girl that they've been looking for this entire time. But he also finds a dead body, which is this porno director, Sid Shattuck.
Yeah.
The corpse of Sid Shattuck is Robert Downey Jr.
Oh my God, I did not.
I saw it and I was like, why does that look like, because half of his face is like bloody.
Yeah,
and I was like, boy, that looks like RDJ at the end of Endgame where like half his face is burnt. I'm like, that looks like him. And I looked it up and it did. It was actually the corpse.
How did, or why did that's such a random
Well,
cameo.
because the last two movies before this that Shane Black had done were Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which both starred Robert Downey Jr.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
That is hilarious, and I did not pick up on that.
Yeah. So fun fact there.
Uncredited. They didn't even credit him for it.
Because he just plays a corpse. So yeah, nothing to
credit.
But anyway, John Boy, the like hitman assassin for the Detroit automakers, shows up. He's a psychopath. They find that the film wasn't destroyed in this fire that they thought it was, and it's going to play at this big auto show at the hotel, right? And are they in Vegas at that point? I don't know. Anyway, it's showing at this big automaker convention, and they've got to make sure that they save the film while everybody else is trying to destroy it. Amelia does end up dead, which I think is wild.
Yeah, it feels like the whole movie, the main thing is them trying Amelia to find her and save her, and then she does end up.
Well, they get her back to Ryan Gosling's house, and then John Boy the assassin shows up with like 800 machine guns and like basically destroys his house. But she doesn't feel safe, so she sneaks out a window. And John Boy's driving away as the cops are showing up, and he's driving down the Hollywood Hills, and here comes Amelia flagging down his car, so he just shoots her. Like,
couldn't have gone more perfect for him.
That's the basic plot line of the movie. They save the film. Justice Department, she gets in trouble, right? She's in it. You really don't know. Like, was she trying to kill her daughter, or was that the automakers? Because she says it's the automakers, but you feel like she was doing shady shit, so she was involved as well.
Yeah, the mom was an interesting character. It's kind of a funny big bad, but not the big bad.
Right. And then the ending that comes, and nothing really gets resolved. Like, the truth gets out there, but by then it's like they're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, and they even have like a little bit of a moment at the end where it's like, all right, guys, like you saved everyone, like you got that out there, and it didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Like, yep.
And Russell, because of that, Russell Crowe starts drinking again. And it's just, like it's a weird ending. But the thing about this movie, like, you say what you want about the story and stuff, it's the comedy for me. More than anything. Like, the way Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling play off each other, they're great. I would like to see another movie with these two guys doing this kind of thing. And it's not, and it's like a buddy cop movie, but it's not dumb like, the other guys is. It's not like that. It's more, I mean, talking about the level of humor. It's more smarter humor, but it's funny, and it's Ryan Gosling just being like this screw up the entire time is part of, the whole thing.
It's a really cool setting for the movie. Like, the time period is cool, like 70s Hollywood, like it's got a cool vibe to it, and then obviously Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, like they make the movie just super fun to watch, and to me, like an instant comedy classic, I would say. But yeah, like I was kind of surprised at how much I liked the movie. It had me go and watch some of like the interviews that they were doing, because Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling did a ton of obviously like press interviews and stuff building up for the movie, and just they are so freaking funny together as like just as partners in crime that
Yeah, I think I
you're
sent
right.
you something where they're like at couples therapy, and it's
Yes,
pretty funny.
they just it feels very much like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, and that
Yeah,
they are clearly great together, but they constantly pick on each other, but in
yeah,
like a hilarious way. So I would, if they said they were going to do a second one, like a sequel to this movie, or like a series of comedies where those two actors are together, but they're different characters in different time periods, like I would totally buy into that.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I think Ryan Gosling's comedic talent is very underrated.
mhm.
Have you seen Fall Guy yet?
No, I have not
Oh,
seen that yet.
highly recommend. He's so freaking funny, and obviously he can do a ton of action. But his
Yum.
delivery, it's something about it. I don't know what it is, but he's freaking hilarious. And
Dude is
I
so
would,
funny, but he also can play like the badass,
yeah,
strong, silent type too,
yeah,
like
like Drive,
Driver or
yeah,
Drive. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Blade Runner.
Listen, um, your first time viewing this movie, my I think third or fourth time watching it. I like it. I can watch it multiple times. I think it's hilarious. Um, what is your overall thoughts on it? So
8.5. I'm rating it an 8.5. It was a fucking awesome movie. If someone were to be like, "Hey, this is the movie we're gonna watch tonight," I would always, moving forward, will be like, "Oh yes, put that on." There are fucking hilarious moments in it, so I like it. If you haven't seen it, like me, you're a fool and you need to go watch it. And if you haven't seen it in a while, go watch it again. Look for
yeah.
some of those Easter eggs. Find Robert Downey Jr. Didn't know he was in it. That scene actually itself was really funny in terms of like he gets so drunk that he falls over the balcony and rolls down this hill in Hollywood, and it's a very long hill and a very long fall, but it's a funny scene. But
Yeah, and then they
um,
feel like they got to get rid of the body, so they throw it over a fence, and it
yes, which
lands
is
on a table with a bunch of people eating.
yes, which was another, which I, that was like such a like, what are you doing, guys? Like they
Yeah,
find a dead body, and Russell Crowe is not drunk; he's sober, but for whatever reason, him and drunk Gosling are like, oh my god, like we found this body, so people are going to think it was us, so now we need to just hide it, and instead they make it even worse and
right,
fucking drop it on someone's kitchen table.
right.
Oh, good times. What do you rate it?
I actually had the exact same score. I had 8.5 written down. That's where I think it is. I higher end, like I was so close to giving it a 9, but 8.5 I think is right where it belongs. Great movie, hilarious, worth a watch if you've never seen it. Yeah, definitely recommend the 2016 American neo-noir buddy action comedy, The Nice Guys.
It's a good one.
You
It
should
was a
watch it.
good one.
Yeah. And that takes us into my favorite segment. There can be only five.
Only five.
All right. Well, we haven't really gotten any feedback on our new process here. So we're going to stick with it for now because I think it
Yeah.
gives us something different to do for the time being. But of course, we're still going to do our top 5. And in honor of the Nice Guys, we decided to do the top 5 buddy cop duos. All right. So I don't know how you did it with that subject, if you did just movies or if you did television included. I did just movies.
Oh, I did just movies.
Okay.
Movies
All right.
only.
And then yeah. So I'll kick us off.
Yeah, do
So
it.
2015. So let's see. I had a tough time with this list for buddy cop duos because I had a lot.
There was more. There was more than I thought there was.
Yeah, and I had a
originally.
lot I wanted to put because there was a couple that like popped up on the list, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit! I really like those movies. Ugh, where do I put them at?" And I moved a lot around. So not typical for me, but I had 2 honorable mentions. The first one
Shock
I
and
had,
awe.
I know,
Shock
right?
and awe.
Shock and awe. 2 honorable mentions, but I felt like I wanted to put them on this list. I put from Die Hard with a Vengeance, Detective John McClane and Zeus, Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson from that movie. It's a single movie. It's the only he like, obviously the first 2 he's kind of the lone man in the bad situation kind of deal. But in this one he gets a partner with Samuel L. Jackson and it fucking rocks. And I love that movie. Anyway, so I had that as an honorable mention. And then the other one, and I felt like I had to put it on this list. Listen, I like the original a lot. I wasn't a super huge fan of any of the sequels, but I had Agents J and K from Men in Black, Will Smith, and Tommy Lee Jones, honorable mention.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
So those are my honorable mentions. Number 5, buddy cop duos, Inspector Lee and Detective Carter, Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan from Rush Hour. Solid movies. Anywhere I can get Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan on this list for those movies, fantastic. The way they play off each other is phenomenal. I love it.
You go this way, I go that way.
Chris Tucker's great in those movies. I think Chris Tucker's hilarious anyway. And then Jackie Chan obviously rocks in anything he's in. So anyway, that was
they're fucking hilarious.
That was my number 5. And number 4, I had Officers Schmitty and Janko, Channing Tatum, and Jonah Hill from 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street, the sequel.
I knew that was going to be on your list. I saw it when I was looking. Was like, oh yeah, he loves this one.
21 Jump Street was one of those movies that, like, when I went and saw it, I was like, I bet it's kind of funny, and it was freaking hilarious, and I loved it. And I thought the sequel was almost as good as the original. And big fan of both the way they play off each other. Channing Tatum, I think, is another one of those guys that like can play that like action kind of star, but at the same time, I think his delivery when it comes to comedy is pretty freaking hilarious. I think he's underrated when it comes to how funny he is. And then Jonah Hill obviously is pretty hilarious in his own right because Superbad's a classic. But that was my number 4. And number 3, I had Constables Angel and Butterman from Hot Fuzz.
Nice.
Yeah. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Obviously, the second part in the Cornetto trilogy by Edgar Wright after Shaun of the Dead. If you've never seen Hot Fuzz, because I bet a lot of people haven't, it's basically like Simon Pegg plays the straight cop, and he's like follows all the rules, and then he goes to this small town, and Butterman's like his partner, and he's just this goofball, but he's also this huge like action movie buff, and it's pretty hilarious. And then it's a hilarious movie. Really cool story, really cool fight scenes if you've never seen it. But from Hot Fuzz, at number
classic.
3.
Love that.
And then at number 2, and this one's probably going to be a surprise for you because I don't know how familiar you are with these movies, but at number 2, I had Detective Jack Cates and Reggie Hammond, Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy from 48 Hours. And another 48 Hours. When I was growing up, 48 Hours was one of those movies that like we watched all the time. And I know it wasn't like this super popular action franchise, but those 2 movies are awesome. And Nick Nolte's like this shitty detective, mean ass cop. And Eddie Murphy's like this hilarious con man that has to help him. And the way they play off each other works amazing in these 2 movies. And like, it's great. They're 2 good movies. If you've never seen 48 Hours or another 48 Hours, highly, you've never seen either one? Highly recommend. Highly recommend.
I do love me some Nick Nolte. So
man, he's awesome in it.
I'm into that.
I'm writing that down because I think you would like 40. And Eddie Murphy's, it's classic.
Eddie
great.
Murphy is fucking amazing. So
it's great. And this is old. This is like mid 80s. So I mean, he's young too. So it's good. And then number 1, I don't know. I'm assuming you have the same number 1. I really don't know who else it could be. But Detectives Martin Riggs and Detective Murtaugh, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson for Lethal Weapon. Like they are the buddy cop movie. Like
they are.
That's about it. Like Martin Riggs is the Lethal Weapon and Murtaugh's just too old for this shit. Like,
That's a great
and like
that
when
explanation just gave us literally what the movie is
and
in
like
like a
when
great way.
they made 4 movies, they're still talking about making a 5th one, which I would watch in a heartbeat. But like the first 2, like I think the second one's better than the first one, hands down. And then I like the third one, and I know a lot of people didn't because the bad guy's kind of lame. And then the 4th one, like that was like the American introduction to Jet Li to like American audiences as the bad guy. And it's, I mean, never in a million years would I believe that those 2 guys would beat Jet Li in a fight, but I still like that movie. I thought Chris Rock was a good addition too as a supporting cast member. I thought that worked. Anyway, but I like solid movies, like all 4 of them.
They made a lot of money.
It did, and those first 2 are classics. Joe Pesci in the second one, like
oh yeah, I forgot about Pesci.
And yeah, he's great in it too, because it's so like Joe Pesci at that point in his career was 2 things. He was either the bad guy from Home Alone or a fucking mobster, or you know, like I mean, like that's what you knew him from. And then he did like this. He did Lethal Weapon 2. He did My Cousin Vinny, and like Joe Pesci isn't just a mob guy, you know. You can do other
be
stuff
funny too.
He's hilarious.
Nice. Love that. We do have some similarities to our list, but we have some differences. So
all right.
It's funny. I had my list set, and then right before we started filming, I just randomly saw a movie, not on a list of top like listed ones, but a movie that I was like, oh my God, I have to have that on my list. So I had to switch everything up. I originally had 2 honorable mentions, but I booted one of those out, and I shifted movies up. So I still have 2, but Turner and Hooch is no longer in my honorable mentions. But
I saw that on a lot of lists. I was kind of surprised, but
you didn't like Turner and Hooch?
No, it's okay. I was a kid when that came out, and I was devastated when the dog dies at the end. Like, you don't do that. Like, you don't kill the dog. And that movie straight up did.
Or you do, and then people will remember your movie forever. So, hello, Marley and me. Okay. Honorable mention, which you and I have one of the same honorable mentions. I had Men in Black. Now, the original Men in Black, it's a buddy cop movie, and it's fucking amazing.
It is.
But in my head, they weren't cops or in that world. So I was like, I'm not going to put them on this list, even though it very well could have been, because it's such a great movie. The original was fucking awesome. The sequels were great. The remake was okay.
I didn't care for them that much. So
yeah, but the first one was like a home run. So Men in Black, and then my other one, which I thought you would have on your top 5 list, and I think people would probably be like, how was that not on your top 5 list as an honorable mention? But I had Bad Boys, number 1 and 2, but primarily for number 2. You don't like you've never seen them.
I've seen all of them, and it's an overrated franchise.
Oh, you know what? I agree with that, in that like people really people fondly think of the first one as like this classic movie. I just like the second one.
I think the second one is the best one. I think Bad Boy 2 is the best one. The third one was okay. I'll see the 4th one eventually, but like I never felt like they were that great. I think Martin Lawrence just annoys the shit out of me, is I think the problem. I really think that's what it is. I think ugh.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw Blue Streak was listed as one that other people were talking about, and I was like, Martin Lawrence is all over the buddy cop world, but I don't think I do love Will Smith in essentially every movie he's in for the most part. So
I am a big Will Smith fan. I agree.
He's cool. I think his Mike Lowry he's great. But anyways, honorable mention, Bad Boys. It's not on my top 5 list. This is my number 5, which this is not really a funny movie. There's funny moments in it. It's actually a serious movie. It's called End of Watch, which is basically it's not a documentary, but it kind of feels like they're just like following. It feels like an episode of Cops, but a movie where they follow Jake Gyllenhaal and I can't think of the name of the other guy.
Oh, it's is it Eric Pena?
Yes,
Is that
that's
right?
who it is. And they are like a really freaking great tag team, but it's like a badass serious movie. Reminded me of that Christian Bale movie called Harsh Times.
Agreed.
It's just like
Michael Pena.
it's
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena, and it's like they're cops in LA, they're LAPD, they're normal like beat cops. They kind of stumble down basically they stumble upon like a major, I want to say cartel or gang like kind of ring that they basically get in over their heads, and the ending is like super sad, but it's a fucking cool movie, super badass.
End of watch, you kind of, because of the name of the movie, you kind of think about what's what's going to happen.
That means, but that movie, like I tear up at the end of that movie, and it's fucking awesome. And Jake Gyllenhaal, like that was the movie that made me take him serious. As like, okay, this dude is a fucking good actor. So, anyways, end of watch number 5, number 4. I freaking love this movie. I don't care how people remember it, but The Other Guys, with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. I'm a peacock captain. Let me fly.
I wasn't talking shit about that movie, but it's a different kind of humor.
For sure.
What I'm saying.
For sure.
Right. It's like Other Guys, Super Low, 21 Jump Street, and then there's what I was referring to earlier. Nice Guys is up here. Yeah.
God, I'm trying to think. I should have looked it up. There's a freaking hilarious line in there where like
there's a lot.
His Prius gets stolen, and like
Dirty Mike and the boys.
He finds a note that says like, "We had an orgy in your car," like Dirty Mike and the boys, and then
like
later
9 of
he finds
them.
me. He's like, "Hey, are you Dirty Mike and the boys?" It's like a fucking awesome. A desk pop. We learned about a desk pop. We actually got a
gator.
Gators bitches better be wearing jimmies. So there's so many great one-liners in that movie. But we also got the Rock was in that as
Samuel L. and the Rock,
which we got kind of a buddy cop movie with the Rock, I think, because of his little moment in this, where like he tries to do like a movie jump off of,
and they play like "There Goes My Hero" as they're like jumping into the bushes and they miss
and they both die. So it's freaking hilarious.
It is pretty fucking funny.
The Other Guys, my number 4, freaking love that movie. My number 3. Lethal Weapon. I had a number 3.
Wow.
The franchise. Which I did a little bit different than you. I went more of like the franchise when I'm talking about these, not a specific one. But I had number 3, Lethal Weapon. Hear me out. It's a little bit before my time, at least the first one was.
Okay.
It's like, and I was young enough that when the second one came out, like it was too adult. I didn't know what was going on.
First Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie. We talked about that. Takes place at Christmas. Do you know who wrote it?
No idea.
Shane Black.
Of course he did. We've talked about that on an episode.
He wrote Lethal Weapon.
We talked about his Christmas love.
He loves Christmas.
We love him for that. Lethal Weapon number 3. And here's my number 2, which this was the one that I originally had Lethal Weapon as number 2, but I had to shuffle him back. Because this movie, it might not be fondly looked at as a buddy cop movie because it's a little bit of a period piece, but I freaking love this franchise. Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr.
That's good.
Man, like the first one was amazing. Second one was really good. I liked Moriarty. Obviously, the more RDJ, the better. But what?
Fun fact. So Joel Silver produced the Nice Guys, okay? The movie that we're doing this episode on. Produced the Nice Guys. And originally, it was going to be set in modern day, 2000 teens. And Shane Black wanted to take it back to do a 70s movie. And Joel Silver's like, no, period pieces don't work. and then he watched Sherlock Holmes and said, "Okay, you can do a period piece."
He
Swear to
said,
God, true story.
"You can do it."
You can do it.
That's awesome. Honestly, that's a great. That was like just enough of a like change to the overall vibe that I think really worked well for Nice Guys. Like if it wasn't a 70s movie,
I agree.
it maybe wouldn't have been as cool.
Right.
I don't
I
know
agree.
if that makes sense. But because their like outfits were over the top, it was just cool.
Mhm.
The buildings, like porn, like obviously in the 70s was way more like hip, cool, niche,
was.
weird,
Correct.
but also movie stars kind of vibe. All right, number 2, Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr. and
Jude Law.
I keep wanting to say Ewan McGregor.
It's Jude
in my
Law.
head, it's clearly Jude Law. It is Ewan McGregor's nephew, ugly little brother.
What movies those are? What freaking underrated
so
movies
good.
those are?
I think when I was watching the first Sherlock Holmes, which there's some good Sherlock content out there. Those movies, and then
great.
obviously the TV show with Benedict Cumberbatch, greatest TV show ever. There's a scene early on in the first movie where he's like in that bare knuckle boxing thing, and it like time stops, and then it like slow-mo him like talking like a genius of like, this is what he's going to do, this is how I'm going to parry, this is what I'm going to hit, this is what's going to break 3 ribs, blah blah blah. And then like it fucking fast forwards and he does it. That moment I was like, this movie is fucking badass.
I gotta edit this episode tonight, and I gotta watch something while I'm doing it, and I think I'm putting in fucking Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, dude,
You got me hyped now.
It's such a good movie. And we need another one. Give us a third one.
I really do. Before those 2 guys get too old, like give us one more. And it's Guy Ritchie. Like, let's go.
He got so wrapped up with the sucked up into the freaking Iron Man Marvel universe that it didn't leave any time.
Don't blame him.
Didn't leave any time for him to the actual good franchise that he was the lead in.
He hasn't done a Marvel movie in 7 years. Don't tell me they haven't had time to make a Sherlock Holmes 3. Get out here with that.
Well, he's making a gajillion dollars. He's probably not worked or done anything since 7 years. No one's watching that. Okay, nope. My number 1 buddy cop movie / franchise. This was my lethal weapon growing up. Rush Hour. Oh my God. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. Rush Hour 1, Rush Hour 2, even Rush Hour 3.
Mm-hmm.
I love all of them. Right. Rush Hour 1 is remembered as the more classic. I think Rush Hour 2 was one of those great sequels that made the first one even better. Rush Hour 3 we got more of the same thing, and we were just happy to have
that was a pretty popular trend, right? That time, that's how The Mummy went, right? Like they made this movie that you didn't think was going to be great, and then The Mummy was great, and so then they made a sequel and they made it bigger and better.
Yeah, it's fucking
huge. And then they made a third one, and it was like, oh,
yeah,
dang.
For sure, yes. Like Rush Hour 1 and 2, there's so many like iconic scenes and locations and lines, and all of them have hilarious like 10 minutes of bloopers at the end that like it took Jackie Chan from being this like only known as the stunt action guy who does all his own stunts to like Jackie Chan is fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And this made Chris Tucker way more of a star than Friday is Smokey. So I have not seen Rush Hour 1 or Rush Hour 2 in a really long time.
Same.
But they both, all 3 are really, really good. And as I'm talking about this road on my list, I'm like, I got to watch that again soon. Like it's been too long. So Rush Hour, my top buddy cop movies / franchise.
I like it. It's good.
My lethal weapon. Yeah, what a fun list.
Yeah, it was a good list. I like that.
I liked it. Okay, that brings us to our movie. Can you guess the movie score? segment, or how rotten is your tomato? I can't remember what we've decided, and we'll figure out a name for it. We're still feeling it out.
We're
But
sticking with that for now.
we're having fun with it because as I'm doing these lists, I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
these movies, there's no way. This time I went a little bit different. So last time I was picking movies like way on different like spectrums or on way different ends of the scale.
Yeah.
And this time I went with a little bit closer of like, ooh, these are actually really close, but one is looked at better. Which one is that? So, okay. Damn it, I didn't write the dates on some of these movies, but okay. Actually, I'm just going to quickly pull that up because it will take 2 seconds for me to Google that. Okay, first movie. Are you ready?
Ready.
So remember, I need you to give me what score you think it is, and then which one's higher and which one's lower, if you can remember that. So
got it.
1 second. There was only one that I missed. Oh yeah, they're both both from 1997. Our first two movies. We have Men in Black, 97, and Face Off. What was ranked higher and lower, and what would you give them their score?
They're close.
They're pretty close.
All right, I'm going to say Men in Black's higher.
What's your score?
Men in Black's an 83. Face Off's an 80.
Wrong. Face Off is the higher rated movie. Both from 97, remember. Face Off with a 93%.
Wow.
And Men in Black was a 91%.
Jesus. I mean,
So close.
Man, I think that's too high for Face Off.
You think? Honestly,
yes, I think it's too high.
It's the first movie I saw on this long list. Was like, what?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
I love it. Because I freaking love that movie.
I do too, but at the same time, like you're saying it, and I'm sitting here like Men in Black's like clearly in the 80s, and
Face Off is in the 90s.
No way. I was like, I demand a recap.
See, I was when I saw it, I was more like, "You go, girl!" Like, yeah you do your thing. Okay, so yeah, I love that. Okay, next one up. I've got 1984 Ghostbusters.
Right. Yeah.
The original Ghostbusters. And then I've got 1982, 2 years earlier, Secret of the Nim. These are
Secret of the Nim's
way
higher.
Close.
Secret of the Nim's higher.
Okay.
Ghostbusters is an 89. Secret of the Nim's a 91.
Why do you think Secret of the Nim is higher?
Because it's animated, and everybody loves fucking animated movies, and that is a badass animated movie.
Okay, you pronounced utterly terrifying, nightmare-inducing wrong? Because it's terrifying and nightmare-inducing.
Okay.
But you are right in that Secret of the Nim is the higher-rated movie at a 94%.
Ooh, I was close.
And Ghostbusters is at a 93%, so just below, so not too far off. Okay, let's jump. I've got three more sets. Shoot, hold on 1 second. I am an idiot again. I did not. It takes me 2 seconds to look up the year, which you actually would probably be able to say it off the top of your head because you love this movie. I have got the 1998 classic Ants with a Z. And the 2006 award-winning Casino Royale. What is ranked higher?
Casino Royale's higher.
Okay.
Casino Royale is a... Boy, I'm going to say 94.
Okay. Keep going.
Is Ants close?
What do you got Ants at?
Is it close?
I'm not going to give you any. I'm not going to give you any.
You're not going to tell me whether it's close or not? Man, nope. I'd say Ants is like a 87.
Okay.
It probably lower.
Casino Royale, 94.
Woo!
Ants, 95%.
Get out. Bullshit. Bugs
I
Life.
knew,
Bugs
I
Life's the
knew,
better movie
I
anyway.
knew that. I almost did a Bug's Life versus Ants, so I knew that one was
That
going to
probably would
piss
have
you
made
off.
me angry. That one would have made me mad. Bullshit.
That's why I picked that one. I almost did Casino Royale in the last episode and finally pulled the trigger on it. Okay, here we go. Two very, very different movies. One is from the 1988 is the year. Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus the serious movie of from 1998 as well. We got a lot of 1998. Saving Private Ryan versus Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Ooh, boy. Man. I'm going to say Roger Rabbit's higher. And
Why would you say that?
Because I'm going to say Roger Rabbit's like a 98 and Saving Private Ryan's like a 96. I bet they're both in that top 5.
Okay. Yes and no. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? 98.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You guessed too, right on the money, which I would have never guessed. Even though I just watched this movie the other day, like literally yesterday we watched it.
That movie is like,
it's good.
It's like in the Smithsonian kind of. Yeah, it really is. Though, if you think about, not even talking about it being a good movie, but like everything about that movie. Like the animation and the story, like it's in the rights. That's right, 98's right.
I just watched it yesterday, as I mentioned.
Is Saving Private Ryan like a 99?
Saving Private Ryan is a 90%.
Oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Get out of here.
8% lower than Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Really thought they'd both be like 95.
Both of those movies, I feel like, should be in the. They should be in a glass case for us all to look upon and
because Saving Private Ryan should have won Best Picture that year.
Yes, I was kind of shocked to see it was so low in the 90s. So, okay, the last pair.
Okay,
this is. Hold on one second. God, I should have done this.
Tell me the movie, and I'll see if I can guess the year.
You want to guess the year?
I don't know if you don't know. Yeah,
I do. Well, I do know because I have Google here. But okay, I've got one is a 1988 movie or 1985, and one is 1991. I've got Terminator 2: Judgment Day versus Back to the Future, the original, 1985.
I'm going to say Back to the Future's higher.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Terminator's a 90. Oh. I'm going to say 89. And I think it's low. But I would say Back to the Future is probably like a 95.
Oh, it's way off or way different. Not way off, way different.
Okay.
Terminator 2: Judgment Day is rated the higher movie.
Oh, okay.
97%.
I would agree with that. But I didn't think that's the way Rotten Tomatoes would go.
That it would look at it, yeah, I agree. It's funny because I like growing up, I fucking love that movie, but I never was like, this is one of the best movies ever made. And then when I watched it a couple weeks ago, I was like, this might be one of the best movies ever made. So
I've thought a lot about that lately. When and I know I'm going to go on a thing here, but like when we were talking about our like 10 greatest movies of all time that we did when we hit a year, and I had it in my honorable mentions, like it was my first 5 off the list.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually thought about this a couple different times. Like I think Terminator 2 needs to be in my top 10 just because of everything that movie did right. Like we talked about it at other times. It is a perfect movie. Like it's perfect for what it is. Might not be your cup of tea, but it's a perfect movie.
I have my top 10 list from that episode. I'm just looking at it like, I probably would have changed this. I had it as an honorable mention.
So we both did. Yeah, 10. We both did. I know.
And I had Batman 89 in my honorable mention. And I had Dune Part 2 in my top 10, which may have been recency bias.
I think it was.
Fucking amazing movie.
It is. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. All right. Where was Back to the Future?
Back to the Future. So Terminator 2 Judgment Day, T2 Judgment Day is 97%.
I think that's good.
Back to the Future, 96%.
Okay.
On
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm okay with that.
So pretty close. Really close.
I'm okay with that. But in my opinion, like I feel like there's a bigger gap between those two movies, and I think Back to the Future is a great movie. But
see, I'm glad. So last time I did like this way different, like one was way high, one was way low, and it was. I feel like you were able to get all of them, but this time around we had some stumps.
Yeah,
we had some curveballs. Who would have thought Face Off was a better movie than Men in Black?
That one blows my mind. I mean, it really does. And honestly, like I don't know, I haven't watched Face Off in a long time. I really haven't, so I need to. But like, I don't know. Like in my head, The Rock's a much better movie.
I love them both equally.
Okay, but like we had The Rock was on the list. The Rock was on the list last week, and it was like this catastrophically low score. Remember, it was like a 68 or something.
Oh yeah.
And that's why when you said Face Off, I was like, it's got to be in the 70s.
Oh shit, yeah, perfect.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it's got to be in the 70s because there's no way it's better than The Rock in my head.
Maybe at the time, John Travolta was just a lot more fondly remembered. So.
Weird. I like this. This is fun. I like doing this.
Yeah, I think the next episode we should do. I'm excited to see what the next ones are. So
yeah. Oh, I get to pick next time. So no, that was a lot of fun. And the buddy cop duos, that's a good category. That's something that you don't get to do all the time. I think that was pretty fun.
We're both going to watch Sherlock tonight. Now
I am about to go put it in and edit until 1:00 in the morning, which is great. And listen, a lot of fun, great movie. If you haven't seen The Nice Guys, highly recommend. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the like and subscribe. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. Leave us some comments, tell your friends. If you're not watching us on YouTube, hopefully you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or many other podcast services. You can also find some short clips and videos on social media. Give us a follow at Movie Dads Pod, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. New episodes, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays, unless the internet is running slow like it was last week, and I think it popped up about 10 a.m. So,
sure, no
but
one's going to.
We'll be back next week, episode 53, the big premiere movie of the week, the Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy strike delayed movie that was supposed to come out during award season last year, The Bike Riders. Looking forward to that one.
I am pumped for that.
We'll
movie.
get to go see this weekend. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.